Dominique Wilkins achieved the impossible. It is simply common knowledge that you don't get better at your craft at 33 years old if you are in the NBA. It takes an incredibly special player to do so. It was even more unlikely with the lack of technological and medical advantages that the players of today have. But when you suffer a ruptured Achilles tendon at the age of 32, that is considered a death sentence. You are never going to come back the same. Especially when it happens to a player that was as athletically gifted as Dominique was. Everything seemed easy to him because he was bigger, faster, stronger, and could jump higher than anyone else. Now he had to get his points the hard way. He'd be lucky if he had a few vintage performances here and there, but that's all you could realistically expect. Except the exact opposite happened. He not only sustained his normal production, but he improved from the previous year. Let's go back to January 28th of 1992. The Atlanta Hawks were hosting the Philadelphia 76ers. Dominique was only 25 points away from reaching 20,000 career points. But in the second quarter, he experienced the worst sensation an athlete can go through. He heard a pop in his right Achilles tendon, and he knew it was over. He even mentioned to reporters afterwards that the first thing on his mind was that the season was over and he started thinking about next year. That's how inevitable the situation was. And for many NBA experts, this was the unofficial end of the Dominique Wilkins era of the Atlanta Hawks. After his injury, the Hawks finished the season going 15-24. They missed the playoffs and had their first losing record in 6 years. There's no question that this team missed everything that he brings to the table. In the following season, there were no high hopes for this team. If you're reading what some of the league experts were saying at the time, they were fully expecting this team to finish near the bottom of the standings. Jack McCallum spoke for everyone when he said this for Sports Illustrated in 1993. Quote, "No one could imagine Wilkins, aka the human highlight film, returning to the Atlanta Hawks lineup as a hobbling outside shooter or as a post-up player without a set of springs." End of quote. His play was supposed to take a hit, which would have resulted in another disappointing year. During this time, it was supposedly common knowledge that Wilkins was only great because of his physical gifts. If you take that away, then his weaknesses would be showcased even more so for the world to see. However, he proved everyone wrong in the most emphatic way. Check out what he accomplished in the 1992-93 season. He averaged 29.9 points on nearly 47% shooting, 6.8 rebounds, and 3.2 assists per game. He produced the third highest scoring mark in his career, and he ended up being the second leading scorer in the league. But now let's look at it from a historical perspective. He produced the second highest points per game average out of any player 33 years of age or older. The player that's first on that list is LeBron James when he averaged 30.3 points per game in the 2021-22 season. It should be noted that he only played a total of 56 games that year. Wilkins, on the other hand, played 71 games. Continuing on his scoring output, there were 8 games where he scored over 40 points. His season high came against the Portland Trail Blazers when he scored 48 points on 55% shooting. Another game worth mentioning is when he scored 45 points on 64% shooting in just 32 minutes of play against the Minnesota Timberwolves. A 50-point game was well within his reach. He also became a much more proficient shooter from the perimeter, as he averaged 38% from the 3 on 4.5 attempts per game. There was even a game against the Milwaukee Bucks when he made 8 3-pointers. Wilkins also took strides in other aspects of the game that helped clean up the reputation that he had among some of the NBA media members. For example, Michael Wilbon wrote this about Wilkins for the Washington Post in 1993. Quote, "He's playing perhaps the best defense of his career, and he has been the bedrock of what used to be a fractured Hawks locker room." End of quote. The coach of the Hawks, Lenny Wilkins, tried extremely hard for this team to be more defensive oriented. It worked at first, and then they went back to being a below average defensive team. However, Dominique seemed to exert more energy on defense, which was something that he wasn't too concerned about doing earlier in his career. His example and presence in that locker room had such a galvanizing effect on a team that was flawed in many ways. that allowed the Atlanta Hawks to reach the postseason after a disappointing end to their season the prior year. To everyone's amazement, he was better in every way. From the adjustments that he made to continue dominating on the scoring end, to the intangible aspects of the game. If we're talking about the degree of difficulty of that feat, it's honestly one of the most impressive and underrated seasons of all time. Let's go back to that fateful day on January 28th of 1992, when he went down with that scary injury against the Philadelphia 76ers. Feeling like I was shot was the way he described it later. Many players use that same comparison to describe how it feels to suffer that kind of injury. But maybe he was also referring to that comparison in a more symbolic way. Maybe he felt like his basketball career had been shot dead at that moment, like he could never recover from such an injury at that stage of his career. But he made sure that he wasn't going to go down without a fight. The reality is that you don't come back from a ruptured Achilles tendon without being a fanatic worker. Anyone that's accused him of being lazy has been quieted for the rest of time. There's no other way to describe him after coming back from that and getting better after 11 years in the league. To have a better idea of how he's able to accomplish this amazing feat, here's how he described his process according to the Knucklehead podcast.
I heard all the critics say, oh, he's probably done it at that age, and if you come back and be like a has-been, and I heard all the negative. I had all them articles on my gym wall. And I remember the doctor that did my surgery came out of retirement to do my surgery at the Houston clinic. And he said, you're going to come back. You're going to be better than ever. And I would say that to people, I'll be back, and they'll give me that sarcastic pat on the back. Yeah, good luck. Right. But I worked twice a day, every day for 9 months. I was determined not just to come back, to be better than I was before I left.
And there's no question that he was better. Keep in mind that he finished 5th in MVP voting that season. He was behind players like Michael Jordan, Charles Barkley, Hakeem Olajuwon, and Patrick Ewing. We're talking about players who were all in the primes of their careers, and he was at that level. When we talk about players that were successfully able to come back from an Achilles injury, we think of Kobe Bryant, Kevin Durant, and maybe Tiny Archibald. In each case, they missed a huge chunk of games in the following seasons. In the case of Dominique Wilkins, he never played less than 70 games until after his first retirement from the NBA in 1995. He will forever be the golden standard for players who are looking to successfully combat the fight of their careers. Do you agree with this take, or who do you believe is the most impressive example? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.